It is Crystal 1-on-1, and I am Crystal. Very happy to be talking to Rudende Nkurunziza today on the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much.
Oh man,
how does it feel to wake up at normal, morning hours?
Quite frankly, I haven't gotten into the swing of things yet.
Are you still getting up at 4?
Body clock.
No way.
Yeah.
That's not allowed.
The hardest thing is to reset your body clock. So I just find myself, oh wait, 4. No, I'm not supposed to be anywhere. Go back to bed. Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess when you get into the rhythm of things, your body is used to it. So now I'm doing things earlier.
Okay.
Like maybe get up, read a bit, stuff.
So you don't fight? You don't fight it?
No.
Because there's some people get back in bed and be like, no, I'm going to keep my eyes closed until at least
really
6.
Sleep? You don't really sleep.
Because your brain is running the entire time.
Once your brain is up, that's it.
How many years on breakfast?
I did 8 years on breakfast.
Is that 8 years straight?
Yeah, 8 years straight.
Okay.
I have only ever done 8 breakfast radio.
Okay.
Unless you count a stint when I did late night for 2 weeks to cover for...
Well, that's just 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks, yeah.
Okay, all right.
But otherwise, breakfast radio for 8 years.
Do you miss it? Because most of us fell in love with you on radio, on the breakfast show.
I miss the energy of radio.
Okay.
I miss the fact that it's new every day. And there's always a new challenge for you to tackle, so to speak, as opposed to a desk job where it gets mundane and routine. I do not miss the waking up.
Yeah.
Not at all, not at all. And the lack of a social life, because you have to get into a routine that's like school. You're winding down your day by 8:30 latest to be asleep by 9 to get up at 4.
Exactly.
Yeah, if you want to have your 7 hours solid. Yes.
Okay.
So I miss the energy. I don't miss the waking up. I miss everything else about
everything
radio.
else.
Yeah.
Well, eventually, hopefully, your body clock will be able to readjust.
Does it ever?
I think so.
I think now it's a pattern. Circadian rhythms have been skewed.
Well, that's
for the
because
rest
you're
of my
not
life.
fighting it. You're not staying in bed and keeping your eyes closed and saying, no, I'm going to squeeze in just a little more sleep.
I will try that. I will try that.
Okay.
I don't know if you because you did breakfast radio.
Yes,
for a
I
bit.
did. I did.
Did you
breakfast
ever
radio.
develop some kind of caffeine resistance? Like you had to take more and more, a higher and higher dose of coffee.
Considering that we're both having coffee right now.
I found that Americanos or stronger gives me the buzz.
Yes, it is.
Everything else is just
that gives you a real kick.
a placebo.
Well, I just generally like my coffee. So I have to have one in the morning, one in the afternoon. But I do try to keep it within moderation.
Well done.
Okay.
Yes.
So tell me about your name, Rudende. What does your name mean?
Wow. Should I don't know. If I put this out there, it's going to be memified for a very long time.
No. You have to share now. There's no turning back.
Okay. Traditionally,
yes,
the title Rudende was given to warriors of great renown.
Okay.
And in my culture, you name your son after your grandfather. So I'm named after my great-grandfather.
Okay.
That's how the name carries on.
So it's...
Yes, so he was called Rudende. Rudende, do you really want to know where the name comes from?
Yeah, I do.
There's no backing out of this one?
No.
Okay. Rudende was given to the warriors who had 21 kills or more when they went into battle.
Okay.
How do you prove that you killed the 21 or more? You'd have to bring back evidence.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean you'd bring back a head or a scalp like the native Indians.
Okay.
You'd bring back foreskins, which are emidende. So Rudende was the guy who brought the most foreskins. It's out there. It's out there.
So how much progress have you made?
It's out there. Yeah. How much progress have
you made on the 21?
I know I'm going to regret this. The people who are going to see this and I will never live it down for the rest of my days. Why, Crystal?
Well, now we know something new, and it's fascinating.
No, it's not. I'm going to be
You've made
joke
my day. Thank you so much.
I'm going to be the joke for. Okay.
Okay, but take us back to your
But it's a name for warriors.
It is. I love that, you know?
Yes.
I love that. So let's focus on that.
Yes.
Warrior.
Yeah. My family name, Nkurunziza, literally means good news.
Good news.
Yes, glad tidings. Yeah.
All right, you have a little one.
I have two little ones.
You have two, right?
Yes, Kamikaze and Kaitesi.
Aha.
6 years and 8 months.
Do they have any, what, they call them British names or Christian names?
Yes. Kamikaze is Michelle.
Okay.
And Kaitesi is Michaela.
Okay, all right. But they use their traditional names first.
They use the traditional name.
Is that also passed down from family?
No.
Okay,
no, it's
just
not.
like
It's
them
for
and
the
pick them.
sons.
Okay, that's only
very
for the
patriarchal
sons.
society
Okay,
back in the day.
and where were you born?
Where was I born? I was born in Uganda. Yes.
Where in Uganda?
Mulago Hospital.
Mulago.
Yes, 12th December 1983.
Hey,
Mulago.
the difference between men and women, they give you the years just like that.
Yeah, properly. Nothing to hide. 35 years this year.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And your family were in Kampala?
Yes, they were in
grew
Kampala.
Up here? Your parents?
Yes, grew up here. I was here for about a year before we moved. And we moved to Belgium.
Okay.
Yeah. Belgium by way of France. France for 6 months, then Belgium. Then came back to Uganda after 1990.
Okay, after 1990.
Yes.
Oh, so you were there for quite some time.
I was there for quite a bit. My dad was in the diplomatic service, so he was posted to a number of places.
Okay.
And we moved to Belgium and lived there for 5 years, but that was the only place that we moved and lived. They felt that we needed to have a grounded childhood as opposed to being uprooted every so often, because when you come
every
back to
3-4 years.
Yeah, every 3-4 years you posted to another station, you go there for another 4-5 years and come back. So we visited regularly, but we didn't move to anywhere beyond Belgium until 2003 when the family moved to the UK.
Okay.
That was his.
So your
that was his
family,
last
most of your
posting.
family, are they still in the UK, or is your dad?
They were
back?
there. They moved back. I think the last one moved back in 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you came back to Uganda.
Yes.
In 2011.
No. I've been in Uganda.
Okay, you said 1990, right?
Yes, and I've been the one who visits but never lives away from Uganda. I've been I'd like to think of myself as the beacon that showed them where home was. So you can be out there in the diaspora.
But you come back.
Yes,
You
and
come
I'm the one
back.
who is keeping affairs,
Okay.
so to speak, yeah.
So where did you go to school?
Where did I start? Buganda Road Primary School. Buganda Road Primary School,
Me too,
that was...
me too.
Yeah.
When I came back, yes. Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Yes. Which P7 were you?
Huh?
Which P7 were you?
I have to remember. What was the
I was in 7R. It's PQRS. I was in 7R.
I think it was Q.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I was in 7R. So yes, Buganda Road until 1995. Then in 96, I went to secondary school. Yeah. I did my first stint. I did a year at a school called Bugema Adventist Secondary School.
Bugema Adventist?
Yes.
Okay.
I was actually raised Adventist. I still am Adventist. I'd like to think of myself as a liberal Adventist.
All right.
And my mom shouldn't hear that. Yes, I still adhere to some core values of the Adventist faith. Yeah, but later on in life, you know, with crisis of faith and everything,
Yes.
I'd like to think I'm more agnostic than anything else. Yeah.
Okay.
So I acknowledge that there is a higher power, but I also acknowledge that human minds will not be able to understand his ways or his very essence.
That's very true. I've had a lot of conversations along those lines of recent, and like you get older, you ask questions, you try to make sense of a lot of things,
And you don't get the right
structure
answers.
that religion presents for many people is, you know, they
It's
feel
one
like
of those things of take it or leave it. This is what it is. Do not question certain edicts. Do not question certain laws, certain expectations. And as I grew older and started to learn things, I started to read Gnostic Gospels. I started to read. I studied Buddhism for 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel that's the closest to what we should be on earth. Buddhism, because Buddhism, the basic tenet of Buddhism is do right.
Yeah, do right.
Yeah.
And try to live in harmony with everything and everyone
Yes.
around you.
Attain oneness, or like they say, the heightened sense of Buddhatatata. But that's a different conversation altogether. Yeah.
Okay, back to, you said your S1.
Yes. Then I went to Chibuli Secondary School.
Why the move?
I wanted to move. Bugema was just, it was a good school, but the distance and everything. Yeah, so I moved to Chibuli Secondary School.
Okay.
Chibuli Secondary School, and that was for the rest of my days, and that was
all the way till A levels.
All the way till A level, and it was a very interesting school.
Why?
Interesting
good, interesting bad.
Interesting both, really.
Okay.
Interesting both, really. You've come from an environment that is very, because Adventists and Muslims are similar in the fact that they take their faith very, very seriously. But they're very similar as well, because what Muslims abide by is pretty much what Adventists abide by.
Okay.
They're not your typical Christian, praying on Saturday, no alcohol, no pork, living clean, kind of thing, and praying every single day, not 5 times a day, but Vespers every single day and stuff. So they were very similar in that sense. Yeah. So in Chibuli, loved the experience, and then I moved on. Yeah.
Okay, where did we go after that?
Right. I went to Makerere University. I went to Makerere University. I did 2 years at Makerere University, had a few issues, and then I moved to Uganda Martyrs University in Kozi. Yes.
Okay, we're going to come back to those issues.
Yeah. No,
we want to know what those issues are.
We can dig into the issues right now.
But before we get into that, I always want to know, what do you do in your downtime? What kind of music do you listen to? What kind of movies do you watch? What series are you into? So, we also know what you like on the side.
Okay. Music, through and through, I'm a rock head. I've actually been a rock DJ for 8 years.
Yeah. Okay.
Played in bars, played on radio as well. I had a rock show, and rock has been the music that, I don't know, it strikes the right note on the inside.
But some people would say, you can get that from so many other kinds of music.
Yes, you can.
What is it about rock? For you, was it growing up? You had a connection to it?
I did have a connection to it. And I'd like to think maybe 60% of Ugandans got their first rock feel from Rick Dees.
Okay.
And so the memories of the music on a Sunday afternoon and you're on a chill, those are happy memories.
Okay.
And you like to carry that on. The message in rock, the music in rock. I used to be a very staunch hip-hop head.
Okay.
I had my days. DMX!
So this is before the 8 years, this is 10 years ago.
This is later primary. I mean, in primary school, at least when I was growing up in Uganda, there was a point where if you didn't know a rap, you couldn't sit with us.
Yes. Okay.
You couldn't sit with us. How? Break time, you'll be alone. And back in my day, break was basically bread and juice. Not like, I don't know what kids eat these days. Like,
man, frankfurters.
And so for us,
slices of,
you're going there and you're bending your bread and juice on the side alone, just because you can't rap to Ice Ice Baby. Great. You had to know these things. It was critical. It was crucial.
It was important.
You had to know a rap. So Ice Ice Baby came. When everybody knew it, we had to look for the next best thing. So I learnt the rap, believe it or not, to a song that went to #1 with probably the laziest chorus of all time. Ring ding dong, ring a ding 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 dong. Dr. Dre went to #1 with that chorus. So I learned the rap from you right on up, so get up, get a move. And then I was a cool guy, so rap was considered cool.
So I'm sensing some very good memories.
Yes, I
was a cool guy.
Yeah, I was a cool guy for a bit.
Just for a bit?
For a bit.
What a bit?
Guys went and learned. There was a rapper called Snap. Remember Snap?
Yeah.
So Snap came and some kid who had a tape, done his research, you press play, write a lyric. Guy went and first brought that one. Then I was last month's flavor.
Okay.
So you had to keep on learning, and rap was considered the cool thing then. But
so
then
if we looked at your playlist right now, especially you said since rock music is like your heartbeat at the moment, who would we find on your playlist? You mentioned Coldplay.
Yes, I love Coldplay. I love early Coldplay. So Parachutes, the album Parachutes, A Rush of Blood to the Head, X and Y. But my rock is post-grunge.
Okay.
So Guys like Fuel, guys like Shinedown, Breaking Benjamin. That's the rock that speaks to me.
Okay.
I like all rock, but that's the particular rock that gets me going.
Okay.
So my favorite band of all time is Fuel.
All right.
Fuel. Fuel is not very well known, but
No.
yeah, but
Okay.
that's my band right there.
Why?
They, you know how music comes along and it helps you vocalize the emotions you have on the inside. You didn't quite know how to put into words. There's a period in my life when Fuel came along and
They were just speaking for
they
you.
said it.
Huh?
They said it, and you know, a lot of the songs are about unrequited love or loss, you know. So it made a lot of sense to me. You know, what happens when you don't nurture your relationships, and when you're growing up, you don't really think that far. Your relationships are really here and now.
Yeah.
You know, you're not thinking 12 months down the road. It's the excitement of here and now, very kagwira wo. And then you end up in the situation where you don't know what happened, and there's a bit of heartache. And the rock speaks to that.
And it lifts you out of
It
there.
lifts
It makes
you up.
sense.
And a lot of times it was cathartic because, you know, being the macho guy, you don't exactly express your emotions, but the rock does it for you. So when you find a guy listening to rock, he's tuning into that place to vocalize those emotions that he couldn't speak about.
Okay.
At least that was my experience with it.
Well, he said some interesting things, so we'll be back to that very soon. 8 years on XFM. Before that, it was Vision Voice, and then you decided to move into TV.
Yes.
But you had done a bit of TV before. I remember you did a
Yes.
show that was kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, right?
Yes, the Gold Rush.
Yes.
I did the Gold Rush on UBC for about a season.
Okay.
A season of that.
So media, definitely media. Did you see yourself going into media? Because you said you went to McCary University. Actually, let's go to that. 2 years.
Yeah.
Then issues, and you left. What were those issues?
Right. When I joined McCary University, 2003, 2004, I joined to do economics, right? And that's what I was admitted for. However, there was a new course, development economics.
Development economics.
Yeah. That was it was introduced that year, so I signed up for that course as well. Now, because I didn't happen to be in the country at the time, my mom wanted me to live on campus. She paid for my whole accommodation using the student's number for the economics.
Oh.
Meanwhile, I paid school fees
For
development economics. So basically, there were two of me in the system.
Oh my goodness.
Right? What happened was all the course units that were peculiar to development economics ended up on that side. And the ones that were peculiar to economics ended up on this side.
Oh my.
So all I needed was to reconcile them into one person, right? Now, when I reconciled them into one person, in the process of doing that, my career goes on strike.
Okay.
Remember the huge strike of 2006, where they closed for about 8 months?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was in limbo because a case like that has to be put before the Senate, which only sits once a month, and then... So there was a sitting process, which dragged and took a while.
Wow.
And
Must have been a bit scary for you though, eh?
It was, but then...
Because you're kind of wondering now.
No, I got by, did you know, one of those, you know, those short courses you can do on the side. While I was waiting, I was doing one of those. I was doing those, and so I waited.
And waited.
And then I had a frank chat with my parents, and they said, you know, so why don't you just start afresh, go somewhere and just start and do again. I said, okay, you know, that's not a bad thing. So I did, and I decided to go away from everything. So Uganda Matters in Nkosi.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
3 years.
Wow. So you're done 2 years, and in a way, it's like starting right from the beginning.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
I know. Not many people would be willing to do that, you know.
Yes, but the way that I looked at it was, a lot of us, we don't think ahead, in the sense that you'll be thinking, oh, my colleagues are ahead of me, what will they say? But 5, 10 down the road, nobody's going to say, oh, that's the guy who rebounded uni.
Yeah.
You see, yeah? So we have that. We think about societal pressure in the here and now.
Yeah.
You see, and that drives a lot of our actions. If we can strip that away, there's so much more that we could achieve. simply by being true to who we are and deciding to, this is the path I'm going to walk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you went to Uganda Martyrs. What
Yeah.
did you study there?
Business economics.
Okay, and then when you were done, what happened?
When I was done, here's what happened. I was finishing in May of 2010. In March of 2010, I get a call from a young man called Kenneth Katuram.
Aha. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who had seen me MC at a function.
Huh.
And he said, would you be interested in radio? We have a slot. I said, yes, I would, but I have exams coming up and I finish in May. So if you guys can wait for me until then I can join you then. So he said, cool, I'll give you a call in May. Finish my exams, get done with uni, come back to Kampala, get a call. Go in, do a voice test, and I was thrown in the deep end. In June 2010, bam! Breakfast on Vision Voice.
Did you ever see yourself doing radio at that time?
Yes, because for the last 6 months of uni, we had a student podcast that we used to do.
Aha.
And I used to host the podcast. Yeah. And also, you know how people say, hey, you know what, you'd be good on radio, because usually at family functions, I was the one emceeing. Even in school, when we had productions, I wasn't the guy
So this goes back.
It does
It
go
goes
back.
back.
It does go back.
Okay.
In productions, I actually never performed at a production.
So you were always MC.
I was always MC. I was always the guy keeping the crowd hype.
So
and
you weren't
moving things
acting, no,
along.
you weren't singing, you weren't dancing.
No. No.
So you were like the hype man before there was a hype man.
Exactly. Exactly. My friends were there doing... And also because I never agreed with what the guys wanted to do.
What do you mean?
They were there going to do Westlife. I'm like, you guys, can we go and do, I don't know. Can we go and do Onyx? Maybe a DMX here and
Don't put
there.
your friends on blast.
Wu-Tang Clan. They were there doing Westlife. So I say a little
The
prayer.
girls must know that they're deep.
They got a lot of play with the girls, but me, I wasn't that. I was like, you guys.
You want about that life?
What? 98 degrees? Invisible Man? I'll be the invisible man in the background. Disembodied voice running things.
Okay.
Leave me alone. But more power to them. They did their thing. Jagged Edge. What? That wasn't me. That wasn't me. That wasn't me.
You know, you said at some point that, you know, when you love your rock music, part of the reason why you connect with rock is because there's stuff that you wouldn't be able to say, being macho as a man. And now I'm listening to this and you're saying, there's no way you're going to get on stage and mime your heart out.
I would do
How
rock
do
song.
you view love and relationships? Are you the extremely logical kind?
I used to be. I used to be the logical kind. But when you get older, you start to realize that a relationship is not really about... Love isn't the main ingredient.
There's
It's
so many other
it's
things.
about trust and compromise.
Trust and compromise, okay.
Yes. And that's a Maroon 5 line. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. It's compromise that moves us along. And when you get older, you realize that.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Well, we just had a moment there.
It's just, yeah, we just
He
did.
can be deep. He can be deep.
I can.
Don't worry. We're at Brasserie Belge. That's Le Chateau. There are not too many people watching, but everyone else will see this. So,
I'm in trouble.
Crystal. So you were thrown in the deep end on, you know, on breakfast radio.
Yes, I was thrown in the deep end, but I was thrown in with two very amazing radio presenters.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much a baptism of fire. I did the breakfast with KK and Sima. Right? And so those are the kind of people who can let you come into your element and they let you grow in your element. So, and they were really, really good radio guides. So we did that for about a year actually. And then we had the transition.
Yes, the transition.
To XFM, and KK moved to Drive, and I carried on with Sima, first with Bush Baby, and then later on with Libolo Chai.
Okay.
Yes.
So what are like, I know there's so many, but when you look back on radio, what are some of the moments that really stood out for you?
Wow. 2012, May, I was doing the show and I got a call and, why she's in labor? So, yeah.
Okay.
So just suddenly I was like, guys, I I have to be somewhere where this is not happening, and so I'm going to go now.
What time was that? Like 7 a.m.
Yeah, about 7:12 actually. I remember exactly 7:12.
So you were not like, okay, I'm going to finish the show and then I go. You're
nothing. Like I could have missed it.
Yeah.
You know? So 7:12, we were actually, it's after the news. We have the music sweep. We're coming in to do a link. I get the call. I tell guys, I have to go. You know, meanwhile, you already planned your link. Eh? Yeah, guys, you know what? You guys have to do this without me. Because I have to flee.
Yeah.
And they were very understanding, like, man, why are you still here? Get out. We'll handle. Go. So I fled.
Okay.
That moment sticks out for me. Another moment that sticks out for me was...
That was your firstborn?
Sorry? Yeah, that was my firstborn.
Okay.
Yes, it was. Another moment that sticks out for me was the 11th of July, 2010.
Okay.
When we had the unfortunate incident at Chadondo, the World Cup final.
Yes.
It was actually a Vision Voice event. Yeah. And
wow.
Lost friends. We weren't there, but you know, you start to think, what if I had been there? And the colleagues who were there and tell you what it was, how harrowing the experience was. So the next day, Monday, was a very tough experience on air. So that sticks out as well.
Do you know how many colleagues you lost from Vision?
One.
At the time?
One
person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve. Yeah, Steve passed on in that blast. But there were a number of them was there. The head of radio was there. They're survivors. But when they recount the experience to you, wow.
Yes, it was really traumatizing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that sticks out as well for me. Last day on radio, which was really just a blast. You know how last days can be. Yeah, that was a blast. We looked back at all the silly, like the best moment. It was really one of those, like, you know, when you do a season review and the last episode is just looking back.
Yes.
Season 1, episode 11, or season 2, episode 14, that kind of thing. So we had a laugh, but it was a great day.
It was a great day. It was an emotional day.
It was an emotional day as well, yeah, because, you know, end of an era, so to speak. I don't want to be that conceited and say it was an era, but a period in my life. Yeah, so close dealings and move on.
All right.
Kind of situation, yeah.
Okay, so you were saying that, you know, now you've learned a lot more, you've understood relationships better as you're older, that it's not about love or attraction.
Love is an ingredient.
It is an ingredient,
but it shouldn't
not
be
only about
it shouldn't be the only ingredient. You shouldn't, because you can't feed off love. All right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the most important thing is to be with somebody who's a friend first of all. Right. Because then, when you strip away the love, because there'll be days when you don't love this person. There'll be days when you don't want to look at them, but they're your friend. You see, and the friendship means something. So. I learned to look at it that way. Okay. Later on, not be blinded by the.
The other day, I met you, and he was looking really nice, and he's like, "Well, you know, my wife dressed me."
Hey, yes.
Let's give her.
Muchara has input. She tells me, no, not today. You wore that shirt on the same day last week. It's not a Tuesday shirt. Wear something else.
Speaking of which, I have a friend who actually has a shirt for every day of the week. Like Monday to Friday, and then weekends he has 2 options for either Saturday or Sunday, and then like one suit.
One is like a jersey.
How do men survive like this?
Here's the thing. When I'm picking my clothes, what to wear, I just think about 2 things. One, does it pass the smell test? So you grab the shirt, sniff it. Okay. I can wear this today. Is it ironed? Okay. Does it fit? Yes.
Let's go.
Let's go and let's do this. Yes.
So what
for us, those things over here, about it has to match the shoe. Then
the belt and the shoe.
Then I don't have the right earrings for this. No. I have a lip gloss that I got, and it matches the other green one, which is better because it pops. No, we're not like that. Sorry.
No, thankfully.
I have seen.
It takes
the trials and tribulations.
Hours from your life, weeks, probably days from your life, just trying to figure out what to wear as a woman.
At home, you know, you have his and hers wardrobes, right?
Yes.
She has hers, and about a quarter of mine for spillover.
Okay.
So she'll stand there because I've opened my side and her side, and she'll stand there and say, but I have no clothes.
I have nothing to wear.
What is all this? What is all, there's stuff that you haven't worn for 6 months. How do you say you don't have what to wear?
Well, that's what you need to do. You see, you go back to some of the old stuff and you're like, oh my God, where have you been?
What?
Yes. It's a tip for ladies. Pack away a few clothes, and once in a while you just go back and you're like, new wardrobe.
Go retro.
Yes.
Revamp. But you guys. Whenever she says that, I'm like, wear clothes. I don't know what to wear. Can I suggest something? Clothes. Wear clothes, please. There are clothes here and there are clothes here. Pick something. Is it clean? Does it fit? Please. And we move on. We're going to waste the whole 20 minutes here debating on things. So,
I know.
Women. But anyway.
We're special. But I guess we're special both ways.
Yes,
because
you are, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've come to appreciate that and complain less.
Thank you. Well done.
Yes, because you don't want to over-complain to somebody, one, who knows when you're asleep, who knows when there's soap in your eyes, or when you're taking a dump. The 3 times you are most vulnerable. So stay on their good side. Okay. And especially since they handle your food as well. Be
you
careful.
thought this through, huh?
Wait. Functional and logical. Pick your battles and choose them wisely. I learned.
Okay, so
keep the peace.
Keep the peace.
Yes.
So what kind of movies do you watch? Are you
Yes.
big on movies?
I am big on movies. I love, at least in the last 10 years or so, there's been a whole spate of movies based on comic books. I'm a huge comic book fan. I collect.
Okay.
Digital.
You collect?
Yeah, digital comics.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So Marvel and DC, you're just
Marvel
in
and
heaven.
DC, yes. I used to be a very big DC fan. Then there's a friend of mine who gave me a whole set of Marvels, about 18 GB. Yeah.
Whoa.
Read them and I was like, yeah. And also because Marvel is kicking DC's ass when it comes to the movies.
Yeah.
So we
have to give it to them.
We all became Marvel fans. I
Yeah.
mean, some of these movies, just like, how can you say? Avengers, what? You allow.
Exactly, Avengers,
you
allow.
like, you know, this guy's got the formula right. See what DC is doing and they're struggling and you're like, still have you guys at heart? But I'm going to be with them.
They're trying now, a little.
They
So
are, but
Justice
it's still
League?
muddled. They are, but it's still muddled.
Yeah, and they have to
Creative
find their
differences
way.
on that side.
So what's the last movie you watched and you were like, yes?
Mission Impossible, Fallout.
Brilliant.
Way.
Brilliant.
Way.
Tom Cruise is just like a beast. Huh?
Way. I was like, yeah. The movie that also got me to that point was The Equalizer too.
Yes, okay.
For one simple reason. Filimu ya Masasi. When I was growing up, that was the stuff. Filimu ya Masasi. La Maswazi nigga. Woyo. Great. Abakubye kopa. Great. That was the stuff. And I love those movies because you don't have to overthink it.
Yeah.
It just takes you back to that feeling.
Well, someone once used the words mindless action, but I feel no, there was a lot more to it. But
yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a story. It's not
but
like
it just gives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Masasi. That is what you want. Where the guys came, shot guys threw a grenade, rolled out the window, walked away, and things blew. That's the money shot.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So Filimu ya Masasi does it for me.
All right.
Anything with intense stunts. You know, like Mission Impossible.
Yeah, that's why Tom Cruise is like a beast.
You come out and you're like, this guy has lied to me, but I've allowed. And I love that he does his own stunts as well.
There were some moments, though. There were some moments.
Yes.
There was the motorcycle, then the roll.
Yes. Then he
right
broke
into
his
the
ankle.
camera, then hey.
Yes.
Anyway, he's a special
So when you
guy.
watch him, you're like, yeah, this guy does his stuff. For instance, my favorite movie star of all time. I know guys will say Denzel, I don't know who else, and Harrison Ford, I don't know who else. Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
I'm
I love him.
Huge Jackie Chan fan.
Because he can do everything. He can do
Yes.
comedy, he can do drama, and
Yes.
then, of course, the
Yes.
stunts, he's also just crazy.
Yes. And that's what I love about it, because everything you see in a Jackie Chan movie, he did. There's no CGI or what wires, what. The guy pulled it off. And he was very, slapstick, action, comedy. But then later in his life, he started to do movies like The Foreigner and showing a different side to him. And
He actually did quite a few of those movies, but they were not in English. They were
Yes.
not mainstream movies.
yes.
But he's always had that very, very deep side to him
Yes.
as well.
And I love that. I love that. Jackie Chan for me is I wish he was my granddad. He'd just be the coolest person. He's such a genuine person. When you watch his interviews, such a nice guy. And his movies are amazing. I love him.
Okay.
Jackie Chan, favorite.
Shout out to Jackie Chan fans.
What's up? Yes.
Well, so now that you left radio and you're on TV, you moved to NBS.
Yes.
You're doing a business show.
Yes.
Yes.
Business perspective, yes. I feel like, when you're trained in something and you were passionate about it, but that you had another thing that you loved as well, you always feel like, what if?
Yes.
And business perspective presented the opportunity for me to flex
Yes.
that muscle while still retaining the creative juices, so
Creative
to speak.
juices that media allows.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Outside media, have you been dabbling in business on your own?
How do you mean?
I mean, do you have a business? Are you running anything on your own outside?
Yes
what
and
you're
no,
doing now?
nothing major, but ventures that you get into in a family business. So
okay.
that's really agricultural.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for business perspective, what's the best thing about the show?
The best thing about the show is that you're presented an opportunity to tell the stories for people who it isn't their core. Storytelling isn't their core, right?
Okay.
And what we do is highlight the plight of the SME in Uganda. There are many amazing stories out there, but those stories are born out of great challenge. And that is what we want to highlight. And
Okay.
it's not just challenges of financing, but challenges of, one, adjusting to market demands. So many business models have to change 6 months in because it's not exactly the way that there's a difference between ideal and real.
Okay.
So ideally you say, okay, I'm planning to do this and this and this and this. But when you get into the real world, consumer patterns are very different from what you expected and what you projected. So 6 months in, you have to change your model. And maybe as opposed to it doesn't make sense for you to have a station, let me go the delivery route kind of thing. So you go to the customers as opposed to them come to you. Or maybe delivery isn't working, so you're like, let me have a central point where everybody can come and find me because that's the kind of demand that people have.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. And we are the most entrepreneurial nation on the planet.
We are. That's what I was thinking. So everyone would like to know, like, what is a fantastic business tip or that you can give to the average person who's like, okay, this is what I want to do? Because there's some hacks, but
I won't give them a hack on what to get into, but whatever it is that you get into, you need to understand one thing.
Yes.
Business, personal.
Okay.
The two need to be very, very separate. Do not treat the business as your piggy bank, and you need to understand that it's an entity of its own. If I am in the business...
So you must respect it.
You must respect it. I own this business, but as the CEO, I should earn a salary and nothing beyond that, because everything else has to be plowed back into, anything over and above has to be plowed back into the business to make it grow. So there's certain things that, and if people can understand that and treat the business as a going concern, not just here and now, because many people get into these things and you haven't thought 2, 3, 5 years down the road.
Yep.
It's just exciting because we're starting out now. Yes, but after all the razzmatazz and the bubbles and the champagne, you get into the real work.
Yes.
And that's the most important bit. You have to understand that for
Sustaining it, yeah.
Exactly. For the first 6, 12 months, there's a possibility that I will make losses. But I'm going to stick through this and I'm going to make it work.
Okay.
A lot of us have the ideas. A lot of us do not have the will to make it work.
Yeah. It's not about having the
We all
best
have the
idea.
strength.
It's about bringing that idea into.
We all have the strength to do these things, but we don't have the will.
Okay.
The will to persevere and say, you know what, 12 months of no client, but I believe in this product and I will make it work.
Okay.
So you make sacrifices, you cut corners to keep this going, and it's worth it in the end.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you. So you don't just do business perspective. You also work.
Yes.
You talked about your creative juices being allowed to flow all the time.
Yes.
So tell us what else you do.
I gig with a PR agency, PR and communications agency called Songa.
Okay.
Yeah. And PR is really just an offshoot of what I was doing before. At least that's the way that I treat it, because you're tapping into the same creative space.
Yeah.
You're flexing the same creative muscles, right? So I do PR as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is there like a campaign or something you worked on recently and you're like, yes, I brought it. I
don't know
really
if
brought it. Have you felt that way?
I don't know if I can talk about that right now, but yeah, it has given me opportunities to do things my way, of course, with a little guidance here and there from the higher ups. But yeah, there are a few campaigns that I work on.
Okay. So your wife,
yes,
you got married quite recently, actually.
Yes, November 2016.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations! You're still newlyweds. You're still counted newlyweds.
Yeah, so to speak. But we had been living together before.
Yes.
That.
How long were you together?
Wow.
How long have you been together, rather?
I've known her 11 years.
11 years?
11 years.
Known her or been dating?
Known her 11 years.
Okay.
Together 7.
Okay. 7.
Including up to marriage.
Okay. All right. And your babies, how old are they?
Kamikaze is 6.
Okay.
Kamikaze is 6 and Kai is 8 months now.
Oh.
8 months now.
Okay. I've seen you share quite a lot of your children
Yes.
on your social media.
Yeah. Not all social media.
No,
they're Instagram.
Okay.
Then I'll write a post about them on Facebook every once in a while. Yeah.
Okay. Because you know there are a lot of people who, I've heard it a lot. People who say, you know, there's a choice you have to make, especially as a public personality, media personality, where you either choose to share or not to share at all. What's your philosophy on that?
I feel like people in the limelight, people in the public eye, need to maintain a semblance of privacy. And the people in your life do not need the same intention that you know, you've decided to go down that route. They shouldn't have to go down that route with you unless they want to, right? So, like for instance, on radio, I never. It's only after I left and guys are like, "Hey, you're married. Hey, you have kids," because I never mentioned that on air.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you always kept that side of yourself.
I always kept that. That was my family life. That's away from what I do.
So you're pretty much that person. You're like, let me keep this separate.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are the challenges you faced being in the public eye? Have you ever felt it? Felt any pressure or sometimes felt like you're misunderstood? Because I think you've been quite lucky, actually.
Yes. I see there's you can do radio one of 2 ways. Right, okay. There are 2 ways to do radio. You can either be who you are, and radio is just an extension of your persona in real life, or you can play a character, like Olanya or the guy who plays Libolo Chai.
Yes.
Where you're totally somebody different from who you are in real life.
In real life.
I went route 1.
Okay.
Where basically it's an extension of who I am. So there was no difference between me on air and me off air. I would say the same things. I was the same guy. And at least those people who knew me, they knew who I was both ways. So because of that, I guess people come at you with less expectations, so to speak. So yeah, because you see what you see is what you get. There's not much to expect. And there really wasn't any mystery.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you never really felt the pressure, never felt misunderstood or... Okay.
No, not really.
All right.
Not really. I still...
You do acknowledge that's a blessing.
It is a blessing.
For very many people,
yeah,
they don't experience that, they can't enjoy that.
Exactly. So many times people see something and they want to latch onto that and blow that into who you should be. You know, and a lot of people have suffered, you know, with tabloids and gossip rags and stuff because they've latched onto a particular aspect and they want that to be who you are, and yet it's not. So I've been lucky that I've been taken as I am.
Okay.
Yeah, just as I am.
Okay. So, you know, you're talking about like you believe there's a higher power in terms of how and the need to just try to be the best version, I guess, of yourself, to give the best of yourself and, you know, live in harmony with everybody else. So what is your like philosophy in life? If someone were to say, what have you learned?
The one thing that makes the most sense, at least of everything that I learned, and I had a huge crisis of faith a few years ago, about 10 years ago actually, when my dad passed on. Because, you know, you go down that road of praying and fasting, and yet he's still
gone.
He still went. And I had a crisis of faith because you start to think, really, I had days and nights when I was on my knees crying, praying for him, and it still happened that way. And I know people say, it's cosmic plan, and in the grand scheme of things, that was God's plan. But you ask yourself, why is that? Why is that the plan? Why are we taught that if you ask in faith, you will receive? And so I had many questions, and I still have questions to this day. So I started to search for answers.
Yeah.
And I got into Buddhism, started learning Buddhism, daily dharmas and all that. And from it, I learned that every religion has guidelines, edicts on how to live on earth, and not just with yourself, but with everybody else. And the prime edict, at least like they call it the golden rule, do unto others.
As you.
And that has really been a guiding principle for me. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you wouldn't feel nice if somebody did this thing to you, why are you doing it to them? Right? So it's really about maintaining harmony, maintaining balance.
Okay.
And that's how I've lived my life.
Okay. So you actively remind yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
To do the right thing.
To do the right thing.
Yeah.
To the best of your ability.
Yeah.
All right.
And there's also a verse in the Bible that from my childhood stuck out for me. James 1:5. To he who knows the right thing to do and doesn't do it, that is sin. And that made a lot of sense to me. So a lot of times when you're going to do something, when you're going to say something, you start to, maybe when you're young in life and you're hot-headed, it might not be a guiding principle. But later on in life, when you get older and you start to appreciate people's feelings, appreciate people's backgrounds and where they're coming from, you ask yourself that a lot. And it guides you. At least it's guided me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
Sure.
and for coming on the show. Pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
Jackie Chan,
Yeah, Jackie Chan.
You're the first person who's talked to me about Jackie Chan, and I love him.
Yo, what's not to love? Jackie Chan he's ageless, first of all.
Yes.
I've been watching Jackie Chan for the last 30 years. And I love him now as much as I did then.
Yes.
And I will always love him. Jackie Chan for me. Finally got an Oscar. Yes, it was an honorary Oscar, but still it's an Oscar. It counts.
Well deserved.
Yes.
Well deserved.
I was with you.